Hey guys, tonight we travel back to the grime, grit, and grumble of medieval times, world where your alarm clock is a rooster, your bed is a sack of hay with fleas that don't pay rent, and your breakfast smells like something between wet bark and regret. But don't worry, it gets worse. Imagine it. You blink open your eyes to the dim grey of a stone cottage. The air is damp, like someone spilled soup on a basement wall and never cleaned it. Your breath puffs visibly in the room, because insulation hasn't been invented. Yet, lest you count that sad wool blanket that smells like wet goat, you sit up, careful not to whack your head on the wooden beam above you. You do it anyway. Congrats, you're now officially awake. So, before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. And let me know in the comments, where are you watching from and what time is it right now? Now, dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. You swing your legs over the side of your straw mattress, scratchy, itchy, and already suspiciously warm in spots. Something scuttles away when you move. Don't ask, the floor is ice. Not like chilly tile in the winter cold. Like the earth itself has beef with your toes cold. You hobble toward the fire pit in the center of your one-room home, hoping the ashes from last night's fire are still warm. They're not. You cough from the lingering smoke anyway. You grab a piece of yesterday's bread. It's harder than your morals and mostly mold. You scrape the worst bits off with your thumb and chew. Slowly, medieval porridge. If you're lucky enough to have some oats boiled in water until they give up. No sugar, no milk, no joy. Outside you hear the creak of cartwheels and the clop of hooves. The village is waking up. Which means, unfortunately, so are you. You shuffle into your tuniquin of maybe 2 outfits you own and try not to think about how long it's been since it was washed. Historians still argue whether medieval peasants washed clothes weekly or monthly. Your nose votes for not recently. There's a slop bucket near the door. It's meant for waste, but sometimes it pulls double duty as a wash basin. You splash some water on your face. It's freezing and smells slightly like cabbage. You're pretty sure cabbage was dinner 2 days ago. You pat your face dry with a burlap square that technically qualifies as a towel if you're generous. With definitions, your family's already up. You hear your younger siblings arguing over a wooden spoon. Your mother is outside feeding the chickens, and your father's sharpening a scythe that looks like it's seen better centuries. You step out into the morning, and the air greets you with a wet slap. The ground is more mud than soil, and your shoes more like stitched leather. Sacks soak through instantly. As you trudge toward the communal oven to warm what's left of your bread, you pass your neighbor, old Tom. He has 3 teeth and 1 working eye, but he smiles. Kind of. His breath could singe bark off trees. He's friendly though, and gives you a nod that says, "Hey, we're both still alive." Fancy that. The village green isn't green, it's brown. Always. The pigs have seen to that. One pig, in particular, follows you. You name him Gerald. He doesn't respond, but you sense he's rooting for you. You glance up at the castle on the hill. It looks romantic from afar. Up close, cold stone, drafty halls, and nobles arguing over who gets the nicer goblet. It's not the paradise it seems, but more on that later. For now, you head to your job. Maybe it's weaving, maybe it's milling, maybe it's digging up rocks and calling it farming. Whatever it is, your hands will hurt, your back will ache, And you'll earn enough coins to maybe buy half a turnip if the market's good. And that's before taxes. Yes, taxes. The Lord wants a share, the church wants a tithe, and the rev kind of like a medieval hall monitor with a you to remember your labor obligations. You can't eat obligation, but apparently you can serve it 3 days a week. A fun fact to distract you. Some medieval folk believed sneezing too much could let demons in. That's why people blessed you so aggressively. So when old Tom sneezes, and someone shouts, "God save you," across the path like they're casting a spell, just smile and nod. By midday, you've already walked 5 miles, carried 3 buckets, and squashed your thumb in a wooden latch. You pause for lunch bread again, maybe with some onion if it's a special day. The village cat eyes, you like it wants your meal, your warmth, and possibly your soul. You give it a piece. It walks away anyway. Rude, you return home as the sun dips low, exhausted. The good news, dinner is boiling. The bad news, it's the same stew you've had all week. Turnip, carrot, maybe a scrap of meat if someone's chicken. Wandered off and came back suspiciously plucked. You eat. You sit, and for the first time today, you exhale without a chore looming. Outside, the sky dims. Stars flicker less romantic when you realize that without candles or firewood, they're your only light dot. As your family lays down 6 of you, shoulder to shoulder on straw mats you finally settle. Tomorrow will be the same, cold, loud, itchy, and unrelentingly honest. But right now, in the quiet of the cottage, you feel something close to peace, until Gerald the pig snorts outside your door. You wake up sore, again. There's something about sleeping directly on compressed straw and questionable hay that really works your spine in all the wrong ways. But at least nothing bit you in your sleep. That you know of, the fire never quite kept the room warm, so the inside of your home feels like the cold breath of a stone cave. Your tunic is damp. The air is damp. Even your blanket feels like it weeps slowly through the night. You've barely opened your eyes, and already your boots stuffed with last year's rags beckon like damp, foot-shaped prisons. Still, it's time to face the day. Because the medieval world waits for no one, and the village won't muck itself. You push open the wooden door hinges, groaning like an old man trying yoga and step out onto the road, which is really just dirt with aspirations. Rain, last night turned it into a thick soup of mud, manure, and hope. You instantly regret your decision. The smell hits you first. It's not just one odor, but a medley of everything that doesn't belong in your nose. Cattle droppings, rotting vegetables, spoiled milk, a faint hint of boiled leather. You try breathing through your mouth, but then you catch the 10th of yesterday's fish stew steaming in a neighbor's pot. You close your mouth again. You start your walk to the market. Your task today is to trade something, maybe eggs, or some woven cloth your mother finished last night for salt. Glorious, precious salt. One tiny pinch means food tastes a little less like despair. But first, the gauntlet. You make your way through the narrow alleyway behind your cottage, sidestepping laundry that hangs between crooked wooden poles. A little boy runs past you holding a rat by the tail like it's a prized toy. You give him a nod. Kids these days, suddenly, a splash. You freeze. Above you, a shutter slams shut. A woman's voice calls out, "Mind your head." Too late. Someone just dumped their chamber pot onto the alley below. You were in the splash zone. It's warm. That's all we'll say. You mutter a prayer to whoever handles small miracles and grab a soggy cloth from a barrel to wipe yourself off. It does very little. Onward, now you understand why so many people wore cloaks. Not for warmth, for protection. The sky, another splash behind you, confirms your theory. You pass the tannery. No one passes the tannery willingly. The stench is legendary. It clings to your clothes, your skin, your ancestors. They treat hides with animal brains and urine. Historians still argue whether this was truly the best method or just the worst. Idea anyone stuck without of stubbornness. You hold your breath and power walk. On your left is the blacksmith. He's hammering iron like it insulted his mother. Sparks fly. You watch, mesmerized for a moment. That glowing metal has a magic to it. His arms look like tree trunks, and you wonder if swinging a hammer all day actually builds muscle faster than shoveling manure. Probably you finally reach the market. It's loud, chaotic, and smells like dreams that went bad. Traders shout over one another. One guy's selling leeches for health. Another's got jars of goose fat to treat baldness and bites. A woman with no teeth is singing about turnips. No one knows why. You clutch your basket tightly and approach. The salt merchant. He eyes your goods like a hawk, considering a limp squirrel. After a long, quiet negotiation, which includes 3 suspicious stares and 1 dramatic sigh, you manage to trade for eggs and a half loaf of bread for a fist-sized pinch of salt. Success. On your way out, you pass a group of traveling performers. One is juggling wooden pins while standing on a barrel. Another is playing a lute, badly. Their jester wears bells on his shoes and seems far too chipper for someone with that haircut. You smile. There's a brief flicker of joy in this muddy little world. Then you hear a scream. You rush around the corner and see a young man being dragged away by the reeve and 2 guards. His crime, he stole a pie. A pie, the punishment. Stocks in the center square and probably a whipping. You lower your eyes and keep walking. Speaking of punishment, did you know that in some towns, pigs could be put on trial for crimes? It's true. One record from the 14th century details a pig being executed for eating a child's ear. They dressed it in little clothes and everything. Historians still debate whether this was symbolic justice or just a very, very weird day. In court, you finally reach the communal well to fetch water for your family. The bucket creaks as you lower it. You try not to think about what might have fallen in. You've heard stories, frogs, birds, the occasional shoe. You hope today's water is just water. With your errands done, you head home. On the way, you pass a preacher shouting fire and brimstone. Night in the medieval world doesn't creep. In it crashes down like a woolen curtain soaked in shadows. The sun doesn't politely dim. It vanishes behind the trees with a wink. And suddenly everything is dark. Not city dark. Not the power went out dark. Real soul-sucking. Can't see your own hand waving 2 inches from your face kind of dark. You light a candle stub and hope it lasts. Tallow candles are not exactly luxury lighting. They're lumpy. They smell like roasted animal fat. Coincidentally, what they aren't. They sputter like they're constantly reconsidering their purpose in life. Still, it's the only thing standing between you and the kind of darkness where your imagination starts inventing sounds. You sit by the fire, now down to glowing orange coals, and listen. The floor creaks above as someone shifts in the loft. The wind whistles between the slats of your wooden door. A dog barks far off, then another, then silence. You try to stay calm. The night is full of things you can't control, and things you probably don't want to meet. Wolves, maybe, or worse, thieves, bandits, or angry spirits. Everyone believes in them. You do too, now. Your neighbor swore she saw a will-o'-the-wisp last week. Historians still argue whether these eerie lights in the woods were natural gases, igniting, or just overworked villagers hallucinating after eating spoiled mushrooms. Either way, you don't go near the forest after dusk. No one does. You go upstairs. Upstairs is generous. You climb a wooden ladder to the loft where the children are already asleep, curled like kittens under shared blankets. You lie down next to the window, watching as the candle flickers against the ceiling, your ears tuned for creaks that aren't yours. Tomorrow, you've been told, you'll help repair the roof of the church. It's not optional. When the Lord wants something done, you do it. He owns everything: your land, your tools, even the birds flying over your field. Technically, you sigh. Feudalism is just that romantic. You remember earlier today when the reeve dragged that boy away for stealing a pie. It wasn't just about the pie. It was about rules, power, keeping peasants in line. You, dear listener, are a peasant. A muddy, tired, sneezy cog in a system you'll never escape. Well, until the plague comes. Too dark? Sorry, just planting seeds. The fire pops. You nearly jump. A rat scurries across a beam overhead, pausing to scratch itself. You whisper a threat to no one in particular. It ignores you. The roof groans again, and this time you're sure something outside just knocks softly on the wood. Maybe a tree branch, maybe not. You pull the blanket tighter then. Just when sleep is about to win, you hear the church bell. 3 slow tolls. You sit up. That's not the usual pattern. 3 bells after dark usually means a fire or a death. The town will buzz about it tomorrow, quietly, between loaves and gossip. Who was it? How was it? A punishment? A sign? A witch? Ah, yes, witches. You can't have medieval nighttime without at least one whispered conversation about witches. That midwife who delivered twins. Some folks think she's too good at her job, suspiciously good. You overheard someone mutter herbs at the devil's doorway. You made a mental note never to sneeze near the baker's wife again, just in case. Fun fact: during certain times, a woman who knew too much about plants, had a mole, or owned a cat, could end up on trial or on fire. Historians still debate whether this hysteria was more about controlling women or controlling fear itself. Probably both. Back to the bell, you listen for more chimes, but none come. Just the creak of the loft, the sigh of wind through that stupid gap in the shutters, and your own breath catching every time something rustles outside. You think about how night used to be feared, not ignored. There were no phones to scroll through, no TVs to glow in the corner. People told stories to push back the dark. Some made you laugh, some made you cry, some made you check your windows twice, and just like that, you're swept into the kind of quiet that feels centuries deep. You wonder what stars hang above your roof right now. You imagine the Big Dipper, maybe Orion, same stars as the kings, the scholars, the crusaders, of everyone who walked these roads before you, when roads were barely more than goat trails. The candle burns out. Smoke curls into the dark. Now it's just you, your thoughts, and the occasional sniffle from one of the kids. You turn over, wishing for a pillow that's not stuffed with straw and mystery. Your head hits a lump. Could be a twig, could be last. Weeks, beetle. Still, you finally begin to drift off, until the rooster crows. Wait. What? That can't be right. You crack an eye open. A thin strip of grey slices the horizon. It's dawn. Somehow you slept. Or maybe you just stared long enough that the stars gave up and left. You stretch and hear 3 joints pop in places you didn't know had joints. You climb down the ladder, nearly miss a rung, and land with a thud that echoes louder than expected. The house stirs. Your mother hands you a crust of bread. It's dry. You dunk it into weak ale to soften it, pretending it's coffee, because here even children drink ale. Water is unreliable. A cup of water might hydrate you or send you on a week-long cleanse of the worst kind. Ale is safer. Sad, but true. Outside, the village is already moving. A cart squeaks by, loaded with firewood. A girl leads 3 geese with surprising authority. Someone's already hammering something. Maybe a roof. Maybe frustration. Today is different. The Lord Steward is coming. That means everyone must look busy. You don't want to be accused of sloth. Last time, old Peter got fined for not bowing deeply enough. He was bowing, just not with the required flair. The steward arrives around midday, his horse cleaner than your entire house. He dismounts dramatically, surveys the crowd, and says something about taxes. You nod. Everyone nods. It's not like you can say no. He collects grain, some coins, and a goose. The goose is not happy. Then he gives a short speech about the king's glory, the village's duty, and how we must all serve with grateful hearts. No one claps, but everyone looks very serious, because he has a sword, and you do not. Later, back at your cottage, you tell your family about the steward's shiny boots and how he had a feather in his cap like he was starving. Your boots are still damp from yesterday's walk through the boggy field. You put them on anyway. Dry feet are a modern luxury. Wet socks are simply part of your personality now. Today, you're heading to the mill. It's your turn. You carry a small sack of grain, the family's last bit for the week. The miller gets a portion. It's called a mulcher, and it's non-negotiable. If you ask him why he takes so much, he'll raise one eyebrow and mutter something about the king's share. No one's ever seen the king eat bread from your flour, but here we are. The mill creaks and groans as the wheel turns slowly. It sounds like an old man with opinions. You wait your turn. Behind you, a boy picks his nose with one hand and holds his grain in the other. You pretend not to notice either. At last, the miller waves you over. He doesn't say much. You pour your grain into the funnel and watch it vanish into the grinding stones. The sound is low and steady, like bones being whispered into dust. A moment later, flour comes out the other side, finer than sand, paler than your skin in winter. You get your flour. The miller takes his cut. He doesn't thank you. You don't thank him. It's not that kind of relationship. Back home, your mother is baking flatbread over the hearth. The smell is the kind of holy that makes you think maybe heaven is just. A warm kitchen. You sneak a bite before it's cooled. You burn your tongue. You do not regret it. Later, you carry water from the stream. Again, the bucket handles dig into your fingers. Your back hurts, your arms ache, and your shirt smells like yesterday's work. Still, you manage not to spill much. That's called victory. Then you see it, a peddler, walking into the village. He's a walking miracle covered in bells, scarves, and random items hanging from his cart. Need a comb, a scrap of blue cloth, a weird spoon that might also be a musical instrument. He's got it. You approach carefully. Peddlers mean news, and news means stories. You ask what's happening in the capital. He tells you the king is sick. Or maybe not. He also says a comet was seen last week and that it probably means war, or marriage, or both. Medieval prophecies don't come with footnotes. He sells you a pin shaped like a flower. It's crooked, slightly rusty, and costs you 2 eggs. You love it. That night, your father tells a story. One of those half-true tales about his youth, involving a sword, a bear, and a girl named Magda. You suspect most of it is fictional, especially the part where he wrestled the bear into a river and came out dry. Still, it makes everyone laugh.